Ever felt frustrated being told PMS, heavy bleeding, and cramping are just normal parts of life? You are not alone. I loathed my monthly cycle for decades. That all changed when I earned 3 health coaching certifications discovering something incredible. Your period is vital. It is an outward sign of your inner health, and it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. I've been there battling heavy, painful periods, and I turn them into cycles with minimal PMS and cramping. Today, I'm on a mission to share that information with you. Pour a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and grab your headphones as we embark on a candid and empowering journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll demystify menstrual cycles, explore cyclical living, delve into natural birth control, and guide parents through those crucial period talks with tweens and teens. It's time to break the taboo around menstruation and embrace the wisdom it holds. I'm your host, Heather Allmendinger, and this is the Embracing Flow podcast. Everyone, I would like to address some of the biggest misconceptions about periods and menstrual health. Now, I know a lot of us have been told some really interesting things about our cycles that just aren't true. And while these myths have been passed down for generations, it's time I want to just clear the air. I'm tired of hearing them, and I just want to clear the air, and I want to challenge what you've been taught, and I want to empower all of us with some knowledge. So I'm going to give you the top 5 misconceptions about periods. Are you ready? All right, let's just jump in. Number 5. Coming in at number 5, let's talk about birth control. It's often the first thing many doctors can recommend when it comes to managing period problems, from painful periods, PMS, PMDD. It's kind of the one size fits all, but in truth, it is not the only option out there. While it can work for some, it is definitely not a one size fits all solution. There are plenty of other options and ways to manage period pain, PMS, PMDD, heavy cycles. A lot of these go back to our lifestyle, what we eat, our sleep routine, how often and how long do we sleep, our stress management, and how often we exercise. Those have bigger impacts on our cycle than birth control. So the key is to understand that there's a whole toolbox of options out there. So I want you to do your own research, be an informed decision maker, and not just settle for the first thing that you're told. Number 4 on our list is an absolute big one, and that is that painful periods, heavy periods, and PMS are normal. Well, yeah, you've heard right. This is not normal. We've all heard it. It's just part of being a woman, and is another statement that we've heard. But guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. Period pain, heavy cycles, PMS, PMDD, they can be common, but they don't have to be something you have to accept. You don't have to accept that answer, that this is just something you have to live with. Sure, you can have some cramping and mood swings. I have them still, even though I do cyclical living and I'm very well versed in menstrual cycles. But if your symptoms are severe, it's a sign that something isn't right. It's your body talking to you and saying, hey, I need help. And some of that might go back to the fact that your nutrition is off, your sleep is off, you have high stress levels, or you're exercising too much. Heavy bleeding, extreme pain, or debilitating mood shifts can also indicate conditions like endometriosis, fibroids, or a misalignment of your hormones. Your period is an outward sign of inner health. You're to be able to work with it and to live with it. It's not to put you out of commission for any period of time and for keeping you from living your best life. Don't ignore the signs. There is help out there. But again, going back to number 5, it isn't always birth control. So number 3, misconception number 3, that pregnancy can happen anytime during your cycle. I've heard it since I was in 4th grade back in the 80s. And I really I'm kind of happy to break this one to you. It's only partially true. It is a big fear thing that teachers have taught us because our cycles are so unique to our bodies. They can't say that pregnancy can only happen at certain times. So they tell us that pregnancy can happen during any part of our cycle. So that way we have fear and we kind of have more control. But on the flip side, if you are trying to get pregnant, that pregnancy can happen anytime during your cycle. It's very, very frustrating because I had that misconception for many years. And when I tried to conceive my younger son, it took 14 months because I believed this statement until I learned more. Pregnancy can only happen during a very, very, very specific window of time in your cycle, and that's around ovulation. Without ovulation, pregnancy will not occur. While sperm can live in our bodies for up to 5 days, and that is a prime optimal uterus environment, sperm can live up to 5 days. The average sperm life is about 1 to 3 days. An egg is only able to accept that sperm for 12 to 24 hours immediately after it is ovulated. So if you know when ovulation is happening, you know when conception can possibly happen. And it is once that 24-hour window closes after ovulation, that egg dies. It will not accept a sperm. That is part of how our bodies are made up. So there's a very, very, very small window when conception is possible. The rest of the time, your body is going about its usual cycle. Prior to ovulation, there is that fertile window where you are fertile and sperm can live. Once that 24 hours past ovulation takes place, you are infertile for the remainder of your cycle until your menstruation hits again. And that is a beautiful part about our unique cycles. And then you have to know when ovulation is going to occur in your cycle, in your unique cycle. So if you're trying to avoid pregnancy or trying to get pregnant, knowing when you are ovulating is key. That is the main event of your cycle. That is the key moment of your cycle. So can we stop this myth that pregnancy is possible all the time? I actually had a client say, but I was told sperm plus egg equals baby. It's not true. And it's frustrating those that are trying to conceive, and it's really messing with the minds that are trying to prevent because they just don't understand this concept. Misconception number 2 is a myth that I hear all the time. And it goes a little bit back to the ovulation. Ovulation happens around day 14. And yes, it can happen on day 14 in a 28-day cycle. And now, how I wish it were true that it was only on day 14 or 15 and 16 or 12, 13, 14 or 13, 14, 15, 16 of a 28-day cycle. It's an average in a 28-day cycle, but it's not the rule for everyone. In fact, it can happen as early as cycle day 10 in a 28-day cycle or as late as cycle day 19 in a 28-day cycle. It depends on your luteal phase as well, and you can calculate when you're ovulating by how long your luteal phase is. But your body gives you cues as to when ovulation is going to happen. So if your cycle is longer than 28 days, ovulation could happen later. If it's shorter, it could happen sooner. Everyone's cycle is unique, and that's why understanding your body and tracking and not just charting your cycle, not just tracking, but charting your cycle is so important. So can we throw out that myth that about day 14 is when ovulation takes place? See when you are actually ovulating and start charting your cycle, track it yourself. It is so empowering on what you learn when you start cycling or charting and tracking for yourself. Finally, the number one misconception that I hear over and over and over again, and this is why I have started embracing flow. This is why I am focusing on menstrual cycles, is that periods are only for having babies. Now, this is a big one. because for centuries, periods have been viewed as primarily a means to procreate. But they are so, so, so much more than just having babies. Your menstrual cycle is actually a vital sign. It is just as important as your weight, as your heart rate, as your respiratory rate. It is right, your blood pressure. It is just as important. It is an outward sign of your inner health. It is a reflection of your overall health. It plays a role in your energy levels, your mood, and even your immune system. Your reproductive system is attached to the 10 other bodily systems: your endocrine system, your circulatory system, your musculoskeletal system. It is linked to your bones, your brain, your blood vessels, your gastrointestinal, your digestion. It is connected to all of it. And it is a way for the body to release what it doesn't need. Your period is a release of the endometrial lining. Your period is a part of a cycle that has many, many, many functions outside of just having babies. And by understanding your cycle, you can make informed choices about your health, your well-being, and your life. You can prevent pregnancy if that is your choice. You can look at your by charting your cycle, you can see if you're having health issues before those health issues show any other symptoms. It is that important. So there you have it. The top 5 misconceptions about periods. I hope you enjoyed this information, and I hope it helped clear up some of the confusion and empowered you to take control of some of your menstrual health. Remember, your cycle is unique to you, and it is time to stop accepting these outdated myths that we've heard. If you've learned something new today, or if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out on social media or leave a review. Let's keep this conversation going. All right. And if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, love hard, laugh often, and as always, be vividous. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, submit a rating and review, and share it with your friends. Visit my website, embracingflowpodcast.com, to receive your free guide on 4 ways to decrease PMS. The link is in the show notes. Information shared on the Embracing Flow podcast is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and always be vividous.